You're 7. The air in the capital smells like horse sweat, cheap wine, and rotting garbage. Your father was a bear trainer for the Green faction at the Hippodrome. He was the only thing keeping your family one bad day away from starvation. Then he dies. No grieving period. Grief is a luxury for people who know where their next meal is coming from. Your mother remarries quickly. Not for romance. The new husband can keep the household alive if the Greens let him inherit your father's work. They do not. A rival bribes Asterius, the Green official who controls the appointment, and your family loses the post. Your mother waits until the Hippodrome is packed. A private refusal is easy. A public refusal has a price. At the entrance, she places garlands on your heads and into both hands. Everyone understands the signal. You are supplicants. She leads all 3 of you below the Green seats and makes you sit where the whole faction can see. The Greens look down at their dead bear-keepers' children and refuse. Across the arena, the Blues notice the spectacle. Their own animal keeper has just died. They offer your household the same post. Your mother accepts before the Greens can change their minds. You leave with a job, a blue faction mark, and your first lesson in power. Private misery is ignored until it becomes a public embarrassment. While other children play, you get a daily masterclass in how little a human life is worth when it has no leverage. You're 9. Your older sister Komito already works the stage, and you go with her to carry things. You carry her stool. You carry her water. You carry her clothes when she's finished. Komito sits. You stand. That is the whole difference between you. You're 12 when she's sick, and you go up in her place. The crowd laughs, and for the first time the laugh is aimed at you, and you like it. That night, a clerk writes your name into the city register of stage women. Nobody on that list is ever allowed to marry a man who holds office. You're 12. Nobody explains what an office is. You're 15. In this era, being an actress on the lower stages is legally and practically the exact same thing as being a prostitute. You are performing high art. You are the punchline in filthy, degrading pantomimes in the cheapest theaters of the city. You lie on the stage and let geese eat grain off your nearly naked body while thousands of men roar like animals. You are stripped, mocked, and consumed every single night. You rank somewhere between a stray dog and yesterday's garbage. Komito sends word that a rich man has taken her. She does not send money. You have an illegitimate child. You don't have the money, the safety, or the time to be a mother. You take whatever soft human emotion is left inside you, crush it down, and lock it away. To survive this tier of society, you cannot afford to feel. You become a hollowed-out shell that simply collects copper coins and survives the bruises. You're 18. A wealthy governor takes you across the sea to North Africa as his official mistress. For a brief, desperate moment, you think you finally crawled out of the gutter. You have fine linen, regular meals, and a roof. Then he gets tired of you, or angry. It doesn't matter. He kicks you out onto the scorching streets of a foreign province with literally nothing. No money, no escort, no way home. You are left to walk through the blistering heat of the desert, choking on dust, begging for scraps just to keep your heart beating. You learn the most brutal lesson of your life. A powerful man's favor isn't a rescue, it's a rental, and when the lease is up, you are left to die in the sand. You're 20. You drag yourself to Alexandria. You survive by spinning wool in a dark, suffocating room. Your fingers crack and bleed into the coarse fibers for hours a day. While other girls your age are dreaming of romance, you are dreaming of a meal that doesn't cost you your flesh or your dignity. You sit in the shadows and listen to the religious dissidents argue about theology and power. You realize the frightened supplicant who sat beneath the greens has to die. The actress who sold herself for copper has to die. You methodically strip away your old self. You are forging yourself into something colder, harder, something that will never, ever rely on the charity of a man again. You're 21. You return to the capital. You don't go back to the stage. You live quietly, spinning your wool, projecting the illusion of a reformed, untouchable ascetic. Then, the heir to the empire sees you. He becomes obsessed. But the law explicitly forbids a man of his rank from marrying a woman from the theater. It is the same register a clerk wrote you into when you were 12, and it has been sitting there ever since, waiting. He forces his uncle, the emperor, to rewrite the ancient laws of the empire, just to put a wedding ring on your finger. You walk into the imperial palace, the heavy doors shut behind you. History calls it a fairy tale. You know the truth. You haven't escaped the cage. You just traded the arena dirt for bars made of solid gold, surrounded by aristocrats who look at you like dirt and would gladly poison your tea. The real nightmare of survival is just beginning. You're 32. It is 532 AD. The capital is on fire. The same green and blue crowds that watched your family beg for work when you were 7 are now battering the palace gates, screaming for your execution. Inside the heavily fortified walls, the air reeks of panic. The emperor and his decorated generals are shivering in their armor, frantically loading chests of gold onto ships. They are terrified. They want to flee in the dark. You look at them with absolute disgust. You don't give a passionate, heroic speech. You deliver a cold, brutal calculation. If you run, you will die poor and hunted. An exiled ruler is just a corpse waiting for a knife. I am staying. The imperial purple makes a fine burial shroud. It isn't bravery. It's the raw instinct of a woman who has starved in the dirt and refuses to ever go back. Your sheer, unblinking refusal to run shames the generals into drawing their swords. They march into the arena. 30,000 rioters are butchered in a single afternoon. The same arena floor where you once sat with garlands in both hands is now dark with human blood. You're 35. You know better than to trust a wedding ring or an imperial title. In a palace, a wife is just a temporary position that can be revoked the moment a younger, more convenient woman walks in. You don't relax. You don't sleep soundly. You start building a shadow government. You establish a vast network of spies, intercepting the emperor's mail before he even sees it. You pass unprecedented laws granting property rights to women and making the trafficking of young girls punishable by death. The conservative noblemen whisper that you are just being sentimental about your filthy past. They are completely wrong. You aren't operating on empathy. You are weaponizing the desperate. By giving desperate women legal and financial protection, you are buying the fanatic loyalty of thousands who know their survival depends entirely on yours. You are building a human shield out of the empire's outcasts. You're 42. A microscopic bacteria arrives on grain ships from Egypt. The bubonic plague hits the capital. People die so rapidly, they are stacked in towers and buried in mass trenches. The stench of rotting flesh hangs over the palace like a thick fog. The emperor contracts the disease and falls into a deep, unresponsive coma. The moment his eyes close, the men with swords look at the empty throne and start whispering. You don't weep by his bedside. You step directly into the void. You take total executive control of the collapsing empire. You manage the quarantines, force the remaining officials to pay the armies, and lock up any general who dares to discuss the succession. You hold a coughing, dying world together with your bare hands. Every day is a marathon of paranoia, locking away rivals beneath the earth, breathing the stench of mass death. You survive the plague, and the emperor eventually wakes up, but the exhaustion has aged you a decade. You're 48. Your body, the exact same body that survived starvation, beatings, and the scorching desert, finally turns against you. It is likely cancer. The pain is a blinding fire eating you from the inside out, but you cannot scream. Showing physical weakness in this court is like bleeding in water full of sharks. You know your timeline is collapsing. No prayers, no making peace with enemies. You spend your final months methodically tying knots in the empire's bloodlines. You force yourself to sit upright in your heavy silk robes, enduring sheer agony, while you arrange marriages between your allies and the highest aristocrats. You are tying knots in the bloodline so tight that your enemies will never be able to undo your work after you are gone. You are dying in slow motion, but you refuse to let them see you flinch. There is no fairy tale ending coming. You get a painful, agonizing death in a marble room, and you know it is already on its way. Somewhere in this palace, a man is writing about you right now. He will call you a demon, a depraved prostitute, a monster who ruined the empire. He will obsess over your youth in the gutters, because it makes him physically sick that a streetwalker ruled over him and his elite peers. His insults are worthless. The emperor sits by your bedside with nothing left to do. He will live another 17 years, and he will never take another wife. Outside the window, the hippodrome is filling for the afternoon races. 80,000 people. From this bed, it sounds exactly the way it sounded beneath the green seats. You were never a fairy tale empress. You were the starving girl who learned to turn public humiliation into raw leverage and turned herself into stone just so they could never throw her back into the dirt.